buddy. We got some explosives, repaired the grenade rifle, and picked up some timed grenades. We also got some long fuse dynamite. I'm gonna try that one out first. Stand back. Alright, that sounded like it got everything. Yeah. Okay. Oh, fuck. God. Radioactive cave. Castors. You know, it was one of the cool things I liked in Fallout 4 was like when you would see the rad scorpions like pop out from the ground, and oh, hey, I feel like you've seen it with the Deathclaws doing that too. Oh yeah, this is the Ghoul's motorcycle. It'd be cool if in the Fallout 4 New Vegas remake, if they have like, you can see the Castors crawling out of their hives. Like you walk into a cave like that, and then you just hear like a buzzing noise, and then you see them, like their eyes glow first from the nest, and they crawl out.
You went through a lot of trouble to get in here. So, persistent scavenger? Or are you here for me?
Here on behalf of Paul Winters. Seems you owe him a blood debt.
Paul Winters? I don't know who the fuck that is. Someone I've wronged, clearly. Not surprising. I've killed many people. Some of them had friends or family.
Yeah. So you're just an indiscriminate murderer?
I've been around since before the war, kid. Everything. Everyone I ever cared for is dead. Been dead for goddamn centuries. Am I an indiscriminate murderer? Yeah, I guess I am. I don't give a shit. I don't kill people out of some deep personal animosity. I kill them because I don't care. Because they were an obstacle. Because they had something they didn't want to part with. Because it was convenient. We're all just going through the motions, ain't we?
Why?
Me, my wife, our 3 girls. We didn't live in the city. We lived a few miles out. We weren't in the blast radius, but we were close enough. My wife and I did everything we could, but seeing our girls, their hair falling out, their gums bleeding, it was hell. My wife was the first to die. She hanged herself. So, I put my daughters out of their misery. We were all suffering, so I had to end it. After that was dealt with, I shot myself in the head. And then I woke up. Somehow, I botched my own suicide with a magnum to my fucking skull. I crawled into the desert, figured something out there would kill me soon enough, but it just never happened. And here I am, 200 years later.
And you're not the only pre-war ghoul. Most of the others don't kill people for no reason.
I don't give a goddamn what other people choose to do with themselves. I lost everything. Everything that mattered to me, gone. And for what? I survived the rads. The process was agony. But I pulled through and stood on the other side. What if my girls would have done the same? What if I didn't put them out of their misery? What if I just murdered my daughters for nothing? So to be clear, whoever the fuck your friend Winters is, I don't care. I don't care about him or whoever it was that I killed. And I don't care about you neither. And you know what? I'm tired of talking. Come on and die already.
Batter up.
Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!
Damn.
Ah, yes. I suffered great personal tragedy, and so I'm justified in my psychotic behavior. That's a tired old excuse.
I like that Charlie commentates on the quests. So Todd was from the previous mod, the North Road. So I should have picked him up when we were doing that, because he might have had commentary for that. I'm not sure, but yeah. Journal. That's not your daughter or your wife. I know who that is. Oh, Todd moved. There's a bottle cap there. Okay, let's read his journal. I guess this an exercise in keeping track of my own sanity or whatever remains of it. Heard stories that isolation helps us turn feral sooner. Guess if I notice my faculties fading away, I'll put a gun in my mouth again. What's the point of any of this? It seems we were cruel and stupid enough to bring about the apocalypse, but we're so fucking stubborn that we refuse to lie down and die in the hell that we created. Aren't I the perfect example of that, though? Not a day goes by that I don't consider ending my life. I've wanted it for over 200 years, and yet here I am, armed to the teeth, nested in the bowels of a gauntlet of traps and misery, so as to keep the world at bay. Can't claim to be brave, never have been. I still see their faces, heard the memories of the beloved dead tend to fade over time. Coping mechanism, I guess. Never happened to me. Why should it? I'm good at suffering, experienced more than enough of it. Guess that's why I spread it around. What's wrong with me? I remember the priest today, being a long time, just taunting me that I'm bound for hell. I guess God is surely having a good laugh at all of this. I wonder how my sister died. Never saw her again after the bombs. If I had to guess, probably captured by cannibals, tortured, raped, eaten alive. Might be a drastic hypothetical, but in my experience, the most awful possibilities tend to be the ones that come true. Went on a caravan run today, got blood on my coat, poor guards, poor merchants, poor cows. There's always collateral, can't bring myself to care. Saw some butchery up on the surface parking lot above my cave, saw a man get skinned alive, another one was dismembered and his parts were shoved into a small box. I left the corpses there. I don't know them burial, just another friendly reminder that wanton cruelty and barbarism is the way of the world. It always really was, but now that we've bombed ourselves into a new lawless period, we can just be open about with our savagery, how loathsome we all are. Considered looting the corpses on the parking lot. I think I'll pass. Cazador's around there, and who knows if the killers left booby traps. I would have left booby traps. Morbid curiosity. I don't need whatever pittance those poor fools had jangling in their pockets. Alright. So I guess we can go back to Winters now. Okay. Yeah, we'll walk back that way. Now I can just pause whenever I need to loot a room. It's a real game changer. What? How did you get out here? Alright. Paul's. Wait. No. Paul's shack. Nope, that's Bill's shack. Bill and Paul, such good neighbors. Hey,
You're back, and somehow I haven't dropped dead since the last time we spoke.
it's true. Killed Godwin for you.
You did. Then, that's it. I've outlived all my enemies. If anyone out there still wants me dead, I don't know who they are. I've been alive for a long time. I've done more than my share of awful things. To think that after all of that, I'd outlast them all. Insanity. Well, a deal's a deal. Anything I did for the Burke estate, I'll tell you. What do you want to know?
All the juicy deets. What was your job for the Burke estate?
Guess you'd call it a hitman. Not really any different than my usual bounty hunter work, except these guys weren't wanted by the law. And to be clear, I didn't do any work for the Burke estate. I did work for one man, Carson Burke, the senator's daddy. I killed business rivals, untrustworthy employees, scorned mistresses. Carson weren't into politics like his boy.
Untrustworthy employees?
Oh, yeah. See, I wasn't ever in Carson's inner circle. He had himself a little elite squad of killers and thugs answered only to him. They generally handled internal business for the family. I was mostly kept on retainer to deal with issues that needed some plausible deniability. But on the rare occasion that one of his private security people got cold feet, someone outside the security team would have to take him out. Otherwise, they could run and squeal about whatever shady business they were doing on behalf of the boss. They knew things no one else did. As the nut jobs across the river might say, quis custodia et ipsos custodes.
Couscous? Burke had a mistress? Mistresses?
What, are you kidding me? Hell yes, he had mistresses, tons of them. He and his wife hated each other. They had 2 sons, Henry and Tobias. And other than that, they avoided one another whenever possible. So Carson got his fill from local girls. Now, he didn't like professional whores. He liked to turn respectable girls into whores. Socialites, entertainers, the daughters of other dynasties. He'd offer them so much cash they couldn't imagine turning him down. And once he'd had a woman, he'd only have her but that one time. Afterwards, he'd have thrown them out on their asses. And if any of them started talking about what a wretched man he was, how he couldn't get away with treating them like that, well, world's a violent place. Hard to see it coming if you're the victim of, say, mugging gone wrong, for one example.
The business rivals?
All for the sake of the Burke Brahmin Empire. That's where most of the family's money comes from. They ain't the biggest Brahmin family in California, but they're up there, top 5 at least. Carson was very selective with his targets, even if he wasn't personally in politics. He had the ear of a lot of important government types. If a Brahmin baron in his neck of the woods was supporting the wrong political factions, Burke gave me the green light. Once the head of the family suffered some accident in some kind of way, Burke would buy up their assets for himself. He got richer, the opposing political bloc got weaker, and I got paid. And that was the bit that mattered to me. Now, most of those folks weren't guilty, nothing more than being in the way. I don't really have any qualms about killing them, but... well, if you're looking for dirt on the Burks, there you go. Their former patriarch loved him some assassinations.
Sounds like he killed a lot of innocent people. I mean, I'm not judging, but...
Yep, that I did. It never really bothered me none. I figured we're all going to die someday. Life has a way of collecting on those debts. Took my own innocent boy getting himself killed for me to realize what sort of man I was. Still am, I guess. I can't take none of it back. Like I said, take on a debt like that, one way or another, it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Always does. Keep that in mind, kid.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Todd, I want to ask you
Yeah?
some stuff. Questions.
Okay, shoot.
Really, it's just independent.
What kind of question is that? This is Vegas, motherfucker. We're always gonna be independent and fuck anyone who says otherwise. Besides, you fucking watch. If the NCR or the Legion do take this place, we'll kick them back out.
Yep.
Shit, you'd have the Fiends, West Side, Free Side, Jackals, Vipers, fucking Jaguars? Are they a gang? Whatever, they'd all team up. Viva New Vegas, bitch.
Okay. Never mind. I guess he doesn't have a quest. Is Charlie?
Yes?
I think we talked to her about this before.
For what purpose? Very well. Proceed.
Backstory?
I doubt that. It's not an especially short tale, and I find it tends to make people uncomfortable.
Try me.
The short version is that I was born a slave, became a toy for raiders, a spectacle in their arena, and then a trainee assassin. If for some reason you want to hear more, ask.
You were born a slave?
An exaggeration, perhaps. In truth, I had a month or so of freedom between my birth and my enslavement. My parents, they didn't want a child. They sold me off to a roving slave trader as soon as they could find one. I don't know what I was worth. It was my owner that named me, taught me to walk and speak, read and write. But most of all, he taught me to be quiet and obedient. If I hesitated, I was flogged. If I disobeyed, I was whipped. And if I failed a task, I was locked in a very small crate. For some time. The only thing he never did to me was harming my resale value. I had to look my best. He wouldn't cripple me, or despoil me. I was a quick study. His other slaves were born free. He had to break them down and remake them in the image he desired. But I was raised from birth to be property. I didn't know any other way, so resistance never crossed my mind. Eventually, when I was quite young, he passed through a raider settlement, and I was sold to their leader. I never saw my original master again.
Do you know what became of him?
He's dead. Not at my hands, but dead all the same. He was a lieutenant in a slaver ring operated by a man named Schrader. Several years ago, Schrader's ring began to come into conflict with another group, operated by a man named Dietrich. My former master was captured in a skirmish with Dietrich, and they decided to make an example of him for Schrader's crew to witness. They flayed him alive and nailed his skin to the door of Schrader's HQ. How unfortunate for him.
I killed Eugene Schrader, apparently.
You did?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You were purchased by raiders?
Yes. The gang leader had certain predilections. He found me appealing. When I wasn't being used for his pleasure, he also found amusement in torturing me. I used to pray that if I did a good job, he wouldn't hurt me. He always found reason to harm me, regardless. Looking back, I recognize sadism as its own reward for those who possess it. Torture amused him. Eventually, he tired of me. I was tossed to the rest of his gang to do with as they saw fit. When I was lucky, they had me do domestic work. When I was unlucky, it was more of what I suffered under their leader. I was often unlucky. This was a large gang. A settlement, really. One of their favorite pastimes was forcing slaves to fight to the death in an arena. Children weren't exempt. Rather, they were the favorite fighters. Eventually, my captors tired of using me and threw me to the arena.
Tell me more about the arena.
Fine. The raiders loved to watch their slaves and captives fight to the death, and children were their favorite. The wrongness entertained them. The one downside for the raiders was that most people have an innate resistance to killing. Children, more than most. The children would spend most of the fights cowering and crying, begging for freedom and forgiveness, refusing to arm themselves. But I was taught from birth to be obedient. I must do whatever my owner commanded, without a flicker of hesitation. When they placed me in the arena and told me to kill, that's what I did. While the others cried and begged, I took up the knife and killed them all. One by one, they fell. I didn't hesitate. That would have been unthinkable. The raiders were stunned by me, what I had done for them. Watching a little girl cut down her fellows in cold blood amused the raiders more than they could say. And they rewarded me. No more beatings, no more rape, no more domestic servitude. Instead, they praised me for putting on a good show. And they gave me drugs. When I killed for them, not only did the pain finally stop, but the drugs gave me a sense of euphoria I had never known. It was almost happiness. I haven't touched any chems for a long time, but there's some lingering neurological damage. And psychological, of course.
Raiders gave you drugs? I mean, you said you don't use them anymore, but...
Beyond proper medications? I take sleeping pills for practical reasons, but otherwise, no. Not since the day I was released. No doubt they're a pleasant escape for those who choose to indulge. I never had that choice. The drugs were forced on me, and it never stopped. When I was finally free of them, I had clarity. A fog lifted. I never want to lose that clarity again.
I mean, it was easy because you didn't get taught any morals. That makes sense to me.
They barely fought back.
And that.
They were slaves and captures, ripped from their ordinary, happy lives, forced into collars and told to kill or be killed. All they had was fear and hesitation. All I had was an entire life where the fear and hesitation was whipped, beaten, and starved out of me. And when killing them was the only surefire method of making my own pain end, then it actually brought me something akin to happiness. My emotions died when I was first purchased from my parents. All the same, the raiders managed to force a degree of bloodlust on me.
Well, I mean, you were only, what, you said like 2 months old when you were purchased? How did you escape?
It ended in blood as it began. As with everything else in my life, freedom was forced on me. I never chose to escape. As large and cruel as the Raider gang was, they made enemies. One of these enemies hired an assassin to end the threat once and for all. There was no grand battle. One morning I woke in my cell to the sounds of gunfire and yelling. Then, silence. Some minutes later, a stranger strolled into the holding cages. He looked at all of us chattel, and then he unlocked our cells, told us we were free. The other children, they despised me almost as much as they feared me. They had seen me as I killed every slave that was sent against me. They watched the Raiders praise me for killing their friends and family. In their eyes, I was the embodiment of all they had suffered. When they were given their freedom, they decided to tie up the last loose end. Maybe they thought I wouldn't fight with no Raiders directing me. But I did. Instead of enjoying their newfound freedom, they all died at my hands. The assassin watched it all, never interfering. When it was over, he told me that if I wanted, I could come with him, that he would teach me how to use my talents properly. What could I do but accept? I knew nothing of freedom. I would have made a mess of myself.
Alright. And that's how you became an assassin?
The man who had rescued me brought me with him. As he promised, he began to teach me his trade. I had experience with killing, and my instincts were sharp, but I lacked finesse, let alone experience with weaponry or subtler methods. He taught me to shoot, to wield a blade, to move silently and unseen. I already knew how to read, but he gave me a real education. If I failed a task, disappointed him in some way, he would lecture me harshly and then let me try again. He was strict, but never cruel. Soon, I was accompanying him on missions. He would offer advice and make suggestions, but for the first time, I had autonomy, real freedom. We weren't close, and our relationship was never anything more than professional. He simply wanted to pass on his skills and knowledge. That never bothered me. He was the first person I ever met that didn't want me to suffer. In time, I became skilled enough to accept my own contracts without him. He had nothing left to teach me, so he stopped trying. We were just two independent murderers, living in the same building. And that's where my personal history ends. Everything between that point and us speaking right now falls into job details, which I don't discuss.
What happened to him, though?
He died. Not at the hands of another assassin, not to a botched job, not through any violent means. He died of lung disease. I could have thrown his body in the street, but out of respect I buried him in the desert, and took his blade for my own use. It serves me well.
Okay. Any regrets?
No. The past cannot be changed. Regrets only serve as a distraction, and my mind needs to be focused to be effective.
Well, sorry you went through all that. You deserve better.
Thank you. That is not necessary.
Alright.
As you say.
Well, let's see. Okay. I kind of want to check out the... Where is it? Nope. Further? Yeah, that one. Alright. I want to check this out.
I've been waiting for a fight.
Oh, of course.
Kill you all!
Any more? New jobs there.
Yes, can I help you?
Nope.
Yes.
Nope. Alright. All good. Alright, so it looks like we've got one more, for Mr. Hurst. Stan Gold. So, we're gonna cut here, and, when we come back, go after Mr. Gold. Hope y'all enjoyed, and y'all have a great day.